friends, I am Arpit and I am here with today's analysis. Today is 23rd of February and we're going to deal with three very important topics which are in news. The new trade route from India to Israel. This trade route has been proposed by the Israeli transport minister who happens to be here in India. Where in India? The Mundra port in Gujarat. She was standing there at the Mundra port, recorded a video and described this particular route. The route is from Mundra port to UAE, from there via road to Israel via Saudi Arabia and Jordan. Reason is the Houthi rebels in the Red Sea continue to block the vessel transportation cargoes, especially Israel bound cargoes. So to bypass that, this new route has been envisaged. Next is the AGNIPATH scheme. The AGNIPATH scheme, which was envisaged by the government of India in 2022, is a recruitment scheme for the armed forces of the country. Wasn't recruitment happening earlier? Yes, it was. But yes, this is a new kind of scheme where temporary recruitment happens. 25% of the people recruited are retained for full-time employment, whereas 75% are laid off after 4 years of service. These people will be laid off with around 12 lakh rupees in their bank accounts. This scheme has drawn a lot of criticism from the army veterans, from the policymakers and such like. But yes, it resolves one major aspect of streamlining recruitment in the armed forces in the country. Is it successful? Well, it is too early to judge whether it is successful or not as of now. The first batch of Agniveers, the people who are inducted as per the scheme are called as Agniveers, have been done in the armed forces now, and let's see how they perform. And the last is the Indian economy, a review. This series, which has been, undertaken by us, today is the last, I would say, segment of this particular series which we are covering, and we are going to cover climate action. What actions has government of India taken for conservation of the climate, because global warming or climate change is an established fact right now, and directly it has a negative impact on the economy. Not only Indian economy, but economy of any country can be impacted by global warming or climate change. So we need to take timely, resolute, as well as robust measures to counter climate change or global warming. And we here will be looking what have been government of India's initiatives to tackle this particular menace. So we start with this first topic, that is the new trade route from India to Israel. Why this new trade route is being mulled over? Because this is the place where the Houthis are. They have been stopping the cargo traffic which has been, this is basically the Red Sea, which has been passing through this Red Sea, because here is Suez Canal through which they enter the Mediterranean Sea and go to Israel or to Europe from here. Around 12% of the world's cargo traffic is passing through this particular Red Sea portion, which is being impacted by the activities of the Houthis. Why they are impacting or why they are disrupting trade? Because they are wanting to show their solidarity with the Hamas, the outfit that Israel is fighting with. Now, ships, they are taking longer routes, like they transcend from South Africa, Cape of Good Hope, then from here they enter the Mediterranean Sea and then come to Israel. It takes too long and the costs also increase of transportation. So this new route has been planned from Mundra to UAE, Jebel Ali port. From here via road, Saudi Arabia, this is Jordan, and then we enter Israel. So this is the plan, and this is what the Israeli transport minister Miri Regev recently announced, and she announced it while standing over here on the Mundra port. She recorded a video and she did this announcement. This will bypass the Red Sea route and the products will reach Israel. Coincidentally, this happens to be overlapping with the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. We covered yesterday. IMEC. This is what the planned IMEC is. And this route is proposed by this Israeli minister as well. Now, how will the trade route from UAE to Israel look like? Now, you can see over here, the goods will reach Jebel Ali port in UAE over here. From here, via road transport, that is trucks, will be responsible for it. So via Saudi Arabia, Jordan, it will reach Israel. This is basically the plan. So this is going to be the trade routes which is going to be followed by these trucks. This is a result of Abraham Accords signed in 2020. Now, what were Abraham Accords? We've covered multiple times the triangle in West Asia. Now, let us look at the triangle in West Asia once again. Here, we have the Sunni countries. Sunni countries are Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Oman, UAE, Bahrain, Qatar. These are Sunni countries. The next is Jews. This is who? Israel. And the third is a Shia country. This is who? Iran. Sunnis are not at good terms with Shias, historical conflict. Sunnis and Jews are not at good terms with each other due to that Palestine issue which started in the late 1940s. And Shias and Jews are also not at good terms with each other because the 1979 Iranian Revolution, which brought a Shia theocratic government in Iran, was purely or hardcore anti-West. And Israel is hardcore pro-West. So there is conflict on these lines also. Now here, to give rest to this conflict between the Sunnis and the Jews, USA in 2020 brokered a peace deal known as Abraham Accords and established diplomatic relations between Israel, UAE and Bahrain. So there were no diplomatic relations between UAE, Israel or any of these Sunni countries with Israel. But Abraham Accords initiated by the USA in 2020 established diplomatic relations between Israel and UAE, Israel and Bahrain. After this, many countries belonging to this particular group, the Sunni faction or the Arab Muslims, they established diplomatic relations with Israel, like Egypt did, like Qatar did, like Kuwait did. Saudi Arabia as such did not do right now, but yes, it is largely silent on this. So this trade route in West Asia will largely depend upon the success of Abraham Accords because these countries, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, they're all, over here, Sunni faction, having conflict with the Jews, that is Israel. But with the signing of Abraham Accords, the conflict has been pacified as of now. But again, with the emergence of this Israel-Gaza conflict, we don't know whether, these countries, UAE, Saudi Arabia, will be supporting Israel's trade through their territories or not. It is largely possible because Abraham Accords are there. But let's see what happens. If the minister is coming and proposing it, though she might be having something substantial with her. Then implications of this trade route. First is the land route will significantly cut travel time and costs for Israel because presently the travel time and costs are long. South Africa, Cape of Good Hope, then from the western coast of Africa they enter Mediterranean Sea above Morocco, then transcend the entire Mediterranean Sea, then reach Israel. This is a very, very long route. It will generate revenue for UAE, Saudi Arabia and Jordan in terms of transport fees and duties. They will start earning. Trucks can carry far fewer goods than ship can, and to that extent trade will be limited. So it is not like massive trade will happen. Either number of trucks to be deployed will be more and more, because trucks can carry limited goods, whereas ships, there is no as such, I would say, comparison between the goods carried by the trucks or goods carried by ships. Now the route depends on Israel maintaining friendly ties with these countries. If Israel is able to maintain friendly ties with countries like UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, there was a historical conflict, we saw that, but signing of Abraham Accords definitely, did pacify those conflicts. Let's see how the relations are maintained in a rapidly fluctuating situation in the Middle East. So the success of this route entirely depends how Israel manages its relations with these countries, UAE, Saudi Arabia and Jordan, through which it wants this. Next is the AGNIPATH scheme. Now this AGNIPATH scheme was launched by the government in 2022. June 14, 2022 was the date. And what is this scheme about? The scheme is about recruitment to the Indian Armed Forces, Army, Navy, Air Force. So this is what was called as the AGNIPATH scheme. The people being inducted or selected as part of AGNIPATH scheme in the Indian Armed Forces will be called as Agniveers. Now the first batch of Agniveers have been inducted, and an editorial was written in the newspaper, The Hindu today, with respect to its success or not. So this is the big question, that whether it is successful or not. There are certain apprehensions with respect to this scheme, and these apprehensions have been expressed by the veterans, the army veterans. Like physical fitness of these Agniveers is a big question. Their training is a big question, because they are being inducted in the armed forces only after 6 months of training, and earlier the people who used to get recruited, full-time recruitment was there, they were given training of 3 years. So will an Agniveer having a training of 6 months only be able to match the combat skills of a person having training of 3 years? That was a big question. Second is organizational solidarity. Will that Agniveer feel or have the same feelings for the Indian Army like the other people have? Because this is very, I would say, deeply ingrained among the personnel of the Indian Army or Indian Armed Forces, that they have a lot of respect and solidarity for their organization. Will that respect and solidarity come in those Agniveers? These were some questions, or these were some apprehensions. But as of now, we are seeing the first batch of Agniveers. Motivation levels, intelligence, physical standards are by and large positive. But again, it is too early to judge whether this scheme is successful or not. Now, what is this scheme? This is a major defense policy reform which has been undertaken by the government for inductment in the 3 services, Army, Navy and Air Force. Now, the idea of short-term recruitment model or tour of duty was first mooted around 2 years back for the selection of officers and Jawans. Means in 2020 it was mooted, but it was not adopted. It was finally adopted in 2022. Youth from 17.5 years to 23 years of age group are selected under the scheme, will be known as Agniveers. We already know that. And they will be enrolled for a period of 4 years. They would form a distinct rank in the armed forces, different from any other existing ranks. Now, what will happen upon the completion of 4 years? These people, 25% of them will be retained back and will be offered full-time engagement or full-time recruitment. The remaining 75% will be laid off. There are talks going on to increase this 25% retention to 50% retention. But as of now, the government has not said anything on this. But yes, there are talks happening on this particular percentage. Instead of 25, we increase the retention to 50%. Let's see what happens. Now, when these people will come out after 4 years, they will be having good amount of money in their bank accounts. Let's see what is their pay package and how the money is distributed. Now they are there for 4 years. So first year, their total salary per month will be 30,000 rupees. Out of 30,000 rupees, 21,000 will be in their hand and 9,000 will be going to the Seva Nidhi. Okay. Every month 30% will be going to Seva Nidhi. Okay. In the second year, their monthly package or monthly salary will increase by 10%. It will be 33,000. So out of 33,000, 70% in hand and 30%, that is 9,900 per month to Seva Nidhi. 36,500 in the third year. Seva Nidhi contribution 10,950 will be going to Seva Nidhi. And fourth year, their monthly salary will be 40,000, 28,000 in hand and 12,000 to Seva Nidhi per month. So in the first year, 9,000 into 12, second year 9,900 into 12, third year 10,950 into 12 and fourth year 12,000 into 12. This much amount will be contributed to Seva Nidhi by these Jawans. Total contributions to Seva Nidhi after 4 years will be 10.04 lakh. 5.02 lakh by these people and 5.02 lakh by the government. Exit after 4 years, when you exit after 4 years, so on these 10.04 lakh, you will also get interest or you will also earn interest and the total amount will be 11.71 lakh rupees, which you can take out after 4 years. So this is what, the scheme is. See, totally in these 4 years, you will be contributing 5,02,000 only from your monthly package to Seva Nidhi. Similar contribution to corpus fund by Government of India will be there. So 5.02 lakh, Government of India will also be contributing, which will make it 10.04 lakh. On this 10.04 lakh, you will earn interest, which will make this amount to 11.71 lakh, and you can withdraw this amount, utilize it for any cause after 4 years of service. Now comes the main part. What are the concerns with respect to this? First is building cohesion. Cohesion means solidarity, or I would say responsibility. A lot of responsibility does come when you develop solidarity or cohesion with your peers. Will they be able to develop, keeping in mind that after 4 years they have to go or they might go? They will not be able to develop cohesion to that extent, which can compromise on the functioning of the armed forces. Might not attract best candidates. See, the best candidates may not come, knowing the fact that anything can happen after 4 years, and after 4 years my future will be again zero. I will be standing at ground zero. So the best candidates may apply or may go for some other forces like paramilitary forces or something like this. It is unfair to the potential recruit. Maybe due to politics or something like this, you are not recruited further you are not there in a 25% mark. So there will be apprehensions among the people, the potential candidate, that let's not do this. There can be a possibility that I will be wasting 4 years of my life, or after 4 years of my life I will be having nothing except for that 11.71 lakh rupees in my bank account. So let's not go for it. Training time is very less. As I told you that only 6 months is the training time, as compared to 3 years when recruitment, or before Agnipath scheme, for the same post recruitment when was done, the same candidate or that army personnel or armed force personnel was trained for at least 3 years and then inducted. Now the training time is only 6 months. Then last concern, definitely it is there, that it will potentially militarize the society. Militarize the society means when these people, these Agniveers, they are laid off after 4 years, they are in that 75%, I would say, category, then they will be there in the society and they have those combat skills or military level skills. They can fall prey to, terrorist organizations or any other non-state actors which can hire them, recruit them, and I would say take their services for spreading terror in the society. That can be done. We have one example, like last year Shinzo Abe the Prime Minister of Japan, he was assassinated by a person. That person was at one point of time a part of the armed forces of Japan, as part of the training program, or as part of recruitment program of the Japanese government at that time. And he was laid off, and he was not happy with one of the schemes which was started by the Shinzo Abe government. His mother fell ill and she lost her life. So, just to take revenge, he had those military skills with him. So, he went and he assassinated Shinzo Abe. This is how, or this is what can happen: militarization of the society. So, this will be there. Now, global practices in this context: Russian military is a hybrid format combining a traditional cadre and reserve conscript system, includes 1 year of training and 1 year of service, and a contract professional system. Both is there. For full time are also there, part time are also there. Israel, it is compulsory for every youth in the country to serve 32 months in the army. Women, it is 24 months, but for males it is 32 months. For French soldiers, there are two types of enlistments: 1 year contract or 3 to 5 years contract. You can come for this, or permanent recruitment is definitely there. So there are these kind of call of duty or tour of duty practices which are happening all across the world. So India was not the first country to come out with such innovation. So let's see how this scheme performs over the years. And you know, as of now, it seems positive, because it is bringing in more and more people in the armed forces, which is the requirement as of now. And we have tensions with countries like China and Pakistan. We need more and more army personnel over there on the borders. So this Agnipath scheme can be the answer. But yes, there are certain apprehensions attached with it. We need to look into these apprehensions. The government is also thinking on increasing the retention percentage, that is from 25% to 50%. So let's see what the government does on this front. It will also reduce the government's pension burden for these people, because these people are eligible for pension as per the old pension scheme. They are getting pensions, that is 50% of their last drawn salary, and they are not contributing for this. This was also one of the logic of the government for bringing in this Agnipath scheme. Now, next is Indian economy, a review, the last portion of it, that is climate action. High growth is there, definitely, no doubt about the fact. The Indian economy is resilient, no doubt about the fact. But yes, there have been certain shocks which the Indian economy has been experiencing, and some of these shocks are due to climate change or global warming. If you want an example in this context, then in 2023, March, April, there were heat waves. Heat waves which destroyed the wheat crop. As a result, the wheat productivity went down and we had less wheat in the market. The prices of the wheat went up, causing food inflation. Frequently, there were floods which were caused due to climate change. They caused a lot of damage. Cyclones, they caused a lot of damage. Like in the Indian Ocean region, basically talking about Bay of Bengal region, there were 4 cyclonic storms last year, which was the highest. Generally, 1 or 2 cyclonic storms developed in a year. But last year, there were 4 cyclonic storms which developed and caused damage in the coastal areas. We have to invest in reconstruction, redevelopment, rehabilitation. We have to divert the funds for these causes. And that is what, are the shocks caused by climate change or global warming. These kind of disasters, so chalo, India is such, or India as a country or India as an economy is at such position that India is able to manage these kind of losses. But just think about those poor countries. Will they be able to manage these kind of losses? It will be very difficult for them. And global warming is a fact, it is impacting them. For example, in 2022, floods came in Pakistan, destroyed a lot of crops. The life came to a standstill, and Pakistan was demanding climate reparation funds from the developed countries because these floods were caused due to climate change or global warming. And for that, Pakistan-like countries did not contribute. So there are multiple developmental challenges, and these developmental challenges are severe or more intense for the global south. The developed world, which is responsible for climate change or global warming, historical emissions I'm talking about, has also pledged to invest $100 billion per year in climate related projects in developing and underdeveloped countries. And this $100 billion per year had to start coming from 2020 onwards. But is this coming? Has this come? Sadly, no. $83.4 billion in a year is the maximum amount which has come from the developed countries to the developing or underdeveloped countries. Climate finance is a major concern. We are talking about increasing this goal, $100 billion, and that new goal will be called as NCQG, New Collective Quantified Goal. This, if it is increased from $100 billion, will this come? That is again a big question. This is the major concern. Relative to the requirements, the flow of resources has been meager so far. We need to look into this aspect. Anyways, what are the steps which have been taken by India for climate conservation? First is India submitted its INDCs. INDCs is intended nationally determined contributions. These are those contributions which voluntarily had to be decided by the countries that what they want to do to conserve the climate. What is their intention for conserving the climate? Those are called as INDCs. And the first set of INDCs had to be submitted after the COP21, that is the Paris Pact of 2015. And then only in 2015's Paris Pact, it was mentioned that after 5 years, these INDCs have to be updated. So in 2021, that is COP26, India upgraded its INDCs and submitted new set of INDCs. So let us see what are the INDCs of India. First, what were the INDCs submitted in 2015? To reduce emission intensity. We need to understand this word emission intensity or carbon intensity. See, for any economic activity, emissions will happen. Generating GDP, emissions will happen. How much emissions are done to generate 1 unit of GDP? This is called as emission intensity or carbon intensity. We have to reduce it to 33 to 35% below the 2005 levels. It simply means that whatever emission intensity was there in 2005, from that 33 to 35% have to be reduced. All by 2030. By 2030 we have to do this. 40% of installed electric power from non-fossil based energy. Actually, non-fossil based energy is what we need to understand. Energy has two sources: fossil, coal, petrol, natural gas. These are all fossil fuels. And non-fossil. Non-fossil further comprises of renewable energy, solar, wind, tidal, and non-renewable, non-fossil. Non-renewable, non-fossil are hydroelectric power, nuclear power. So from this non-fossil means collectively this, we have to have 40% of installed electric power by 2030. Then to create an additional carbon sink. Carbon sink is basically trees take in the carbon dioxide, give oxygen. An example of carbon sink. Oceans are examples of carbon sink. So we have to create additional carbon sinks of 2.5 to 3 gigatons of carbon dioxide equivalent by 2030. These were the 3 INDCs submitted by India in 2015. India submitted its updated INDCs, which our Prime Minister calls as Panchamrit because these are 5 in number. First is India will increase its non-fossil fuel energy capacity to 500 gigawatts by 2030. So presently we have reached around 187 gigawatts. We will see ahead. India will meet 50% of its energy requirement from renewable resources by 2030. See, 40% from non-fossil based energy. Here we are saying 50% from renewable energy, which is a part of non-fossil, and overall non-fossil 500 gigawatt. The total projected carbon emissions will be reduced by 1 billion tons from now through 2030. Emission intensity, earlier we had this target of 33 to 35% reduction. Now we have increased this target to 45% reduction from the 2005 levels. We have increased this because we felt that this too we will be able to achieve. So let us increase this. And last is target of net zero by 2070. Net zero means whatever you are emitting, you have created the carbon sink of taking in those emissions. That is net zero. Net zero does not mean that you are emitting zero. That cannot happen. You have to economically develop, you will have to emit. So whatever you are emitting, you are sucking in or capturing that much carbon. That is net zero. Presently we are carbon positive. We are emitting more, taking in less. Net zero or carbon neutral 2070 is the target. Beyond that, we will be sucking more, taking in more and emitting less. Then we will become carbon negative, which is obviously a good thing. So countries like Bhutan, they are carbon negative right now. Then next thing which we have done for global warming or climate change is National Action Plan for Climate Change. This we launched in 2008 only. Now this National Action Plan for Climate Change has 8 sub-missions in this. First is National Solar Mission, National Mission on Sustainable Habitat, National Mission for Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem, National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency, National Water Mission, National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change, National Mission for a Green India, and National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. These are the 8 sub-missions in this particular National Action Plan on climate change. At times, health is also referred, National Health Mission is also referred as part of it, but officially the government has not declared it as of now. So we keep taking steps under this National Action Plan. For example, for National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency, we took this step, the Perform, Achieve and Trade Scheme. It is basically an energy savings machine. Whichever industry is performing well on energy conservation and have achieved reduced emissions, they can trade their energy saving certificates and earn money out of this. By trading those certificates, that is Perform, Achieve and Trade Scheme, energy savings based market mechanism has resulted in saving of about 24.3 million tons of oil equivalent, translating to avoiding about 105.02 million tons of CO2. So industries have done this. Further, we also amended the Energy Conservation Act. It was amended in 2022, establishing a domestic carbon market for trading of these energy saving certificates, which the companies have earned by saving the energy. National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change. This National Adaptation Fund was introduced in 2015-16 to support adaptation action in, among other things, agriculture, water, forestry, livestock and restoring ecosystems, because all these kind of systems will be impacted by the global warming or climate change. So we need to adapt, and for adaptation we need money. So this fund gives us money. Now, this next point, the installed non-fossil fuel capacity. This, as per our INDC 2.0, we have to reach 500 gigawatt by 2030. And non-fossil includes renewable energy plus non-renewable, non-fossil. It has more than doubled in the last 9 years from 2014 till now. It was 80.3 gigawatt in March 2014. It is now 187.06 gigawatt in November 2023. An increase of around 106.76 gigawatts as against an increase of only 46 gigawatts between 2004 and 14. India's installed solar energy capacity has increased by more than 25 times. We're talking about solar. Solar is part of renewable. Renewable is part of non-fossil. From 2.63 gigawatt in March 2014 to 72.3 gigawatt in November 2023. So these are the latest data. 187.06 gigawatt non-fossil based fuels. These are. Then multiple schemes of the government or multiple programs of the government are there, like development and implementation of solar parks and ultra mega solar power projects. In the top 5 solar power projects or solar power parks across the world, there are 2, I think, in India, 2 or 3 in India. Then the rooftop solar scheme, which again has now got momentum when the Prime Minister announced it on 22nd of January itself, when on that same day when the Pran Pratishtha ceremony took place in Ayodhya. Next is we creating a green energy corridor where we will be transporting renewable energy, and all those vehicles which will be running like trains or something like this, they will be running on renewable energy generated electricity. Then there is this production linked incentive scheme for manufacturing high efficiency solar PV modules, photovoltaic modules, these are called as, and PLI scheme for National Program on Advanced Chemistry Cell Battery Storage. Smart Meter National Program is there. Integrated Power Development Scheme, Street Lighting National Program have helped in energy savings because all the street lights in India are now LED. So a lot of electricity is getting saved. The Pradhan Mantri Kisan Urja Suraksha Evam Utthan Maha Abhiyan, PM Kusum it is called as, where the farmers, they are being provided with the solar powered irrigation pumps, so their dependence on electricity reduces, and anytime electricity is available to them if they install such kind of pumps in their respective fields. Then Unnat Jyoti, buy affordable LEDs for all, Ujala scheme. So affordable LED bulbs and all are given. LEDs, they consume less electricity, so we are contributing into saving electricity. And finally we have Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, which talks about or which aims at giving LPG cylinders to the eligible beneficiaries. More than 10 crore eligible beneficiaries are there in Ujjwala now. Now how it is contributing in reducing emissions? Earlier people, especially women, they used to burn cow dung or wood for cooking food. This caused a lot of indoor pollution, as well as when this pollution went out, so definitely it would be, or it was contributing in polluting the atmosphere as well. It caused a lot of respiratory diseases also among the women and children who stayed back home. So this is contributing definitely in reducing the emissions. Apart from it, we have the National Green Hydrogen Mission, which is basically in the concept stage right now. A company from America has established its operations in Bangalore right now, which happens to be, creating green hydrogen. But let's see how we harness this particular technology of green hydrogen, because as per the National Green Hydrogen Mission, India aims to become the hub for the world for green hydrogen. So let us see how things are there. But yes, India being a developing country has done a lot for conserving conserving the climate change or global warming. Global warming, a phenomenon in which India has minimally contributed. Now, India is the third largest emitter presently, but if we see the atmosphere, only 3% of emissions have come from India. Majority of the emissions have come from the so-called developed countries of today. That is causing global warming. So, this is basically how we have to understand that. Now, with this, we've come to an end of this Indian economy review booklet. Our series is getting over today, and today's session is also over with this. I will be meeting you tomorrow now with more such informative news pieces. Till then, you guys keep studying, keep reading, keep writing, and most importantly, keep revising. Namaste. Jai Hind.